Hello Stitches, and welcome to episode 3 of the Ranney Knits podcast. I'm so happy that you are joining me today. I am Justine. It is Friday morning here in the Pacific Northwest. Let's talk knitting. Hopefully I'm not blowing out. I watched a video about how to mess around with my settings on my camera. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully I can fix that little clicky issue. Sometimes it's like balancing, it's not focusing, but it's balancing the exposure, I think, and it kind of clicks around. Stop it. I can hear you. Stop it. Anyways, this is thankfully not a camera podcast, technology podcast. We're all very lucky that I'm not trying to do that. Well, nobody would watch, so I guess it doesn't matter. It would just go up on the internet and whatever. Today I am wearing my Campside Pullover by Alicia Plummer. I knit this summer, I think August, September. Not a great time to be knitting a sweater, but it's what I did. It was part of the Campside Along Cal that was hosted by Little Fish Stitches of the Little Fish Stitches podcast, and she also has an Etsy shop. I've shown one of her bags on here in my first episode, I think. So the Campside Pullover, it's top down. Had to think there for a second. It is a top down sweater with raglan sleeves, as you can see, and it's got these eyelets. I pop up here. It's got these pretty eyelets that I didn't do the best job. You can see these ones are they look a little bit sloppy, a tiny bit sloppy, but I've seen that in stores where the eyelets are a little bit funky, and so we'll just say it's a style. We'll just say it's a fashion choice. We'll go with that. Yeah, really easy, simple pattern. I probably wouldn't have picked this one if it wasn't for the knit along. I just thought it would be a fun thing to do. But I like it. I like it a lot. Like I said, I wish I would have been a little bit more precise with my eyelets, and that might be because of my gauge. I think this is supposed to be knit with a DK weight, and I believe this is a worsted weight yarn. I would knit this again. Like I said, it was really easy. I would but I would do the neckline differently. I would make it a little bit tighter, which usually I do necklines a little bit looser, but in this case I would tighten it up a little bit. But yeah, I think the issue that I have with it is that the yarn I used wasn't quite right. Like I said, I think it's a worsted. I don't actually know. And if I had knit this in a DK weight, I think it would have been a little bit better. And if it was softer, this is one of those that I can't wear next to skin. It's too scratchy for me. So I think maybe I wouldn't mind the neckline if I could just wear this with like a tank top underneath. But as it is, if I'm not wearing a collared shirt, I have to find a shirt that has a wider scoop neck. Otherwise, I don't like that when my shirt shows through up above my collar for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah, it looks good with a collared shirt. I think I figured out how to wear this. I wear it a lot. It's very comfortable and cozy. And I decided to knit this because I was gifted a sweater quantity of yarn, of mystery yarn. I've mentioned this before. My mom found this at a fundraiser auction, and there were 6 cakes of the white and 2 cakes, I believe, of this mossy gray-green. They were caked up. There are no ball bands. I've checked all of them. There's no ball bands hiding in here. So I don't know. It also came with, it was a basket of yarn. It also came with a Bunkie blanket pattern by Swan's Island, which I haven't knit. And I don't know if this yarn was intended for this pattern originally. Somebody had plans. They took the time to cake it up, unless they had it caked up in the store. I would not knit a baby blanket in this, just from, it feels pretty soft in the cake, but from wearing it, this wouldn't make a good baby blanket for me. I wouldn't do it. It's itchy. So my mom got another basket of yarn at this auction, and that one went to my sister, and that one also came with a pattern, and that yarn had the ball bands on it, and the ball bands matched the yarn that was recommended in the pattern that it came with. So maybe this is that yarn. This is Swan's. This is recommended to be knitted with Swan's Island organic merino wool. Well, the contrast color, they have a main color and a contrast color. The contrast color is recommended to be knit with the Swan's Island Pure Blends, organic merino wool, and alpaca. 15% alpaca, which that could be this, because I'm fairly sure that this is got some alpaca in it. Whenever it has those stringy bits, that makes me think alpaca. I'm no fiber expert, but that's my best guess for this yarn. So anyways, the pattern recommends a DK weight. I think this is worsted. I was trying to cheat and be like, oh yeah, it's DK, I checked, but this is worsted weight. So that's probably contributing to why it's a little bit slouchier, it's a little bit baggier. I'll show you. It's got a lot of ease, a lot of positive ease to it, and it has stretched out a little bit since knitting it, but the sleeves haven't stretched out. They've stayed pretty good. Yeah, I think if I were to knit this again, I would do it in a DK weight. I would do it in a soft DK weight. And I might like it a little bit better. But all in all, pretty happy with it. For a second sweater, I think it was just perfect. It had enough interest to it. The eyelets are cool. And yeah. So I might be a little light on content today. This week I mostly just knit on my finished object. I have one finished object, and it is a true finished object. It is my vanilla socks, which I am wearing. I started talking about these last week, but then my camera cut out on me, so I didn't realize it, so I was just blathering on to myself, but by the time I figured that out, it was too late. I wasn't going to go back and record. So these were knit with Misty Mountain Makers in her halfling base on size 0, US 0, that's a 2.0 millimeter needle. which is the smallest needle that I've ever knit socks or I think anything. I think that's the smallest needle I've ever used. Which I wanted them to be sturdy. So this is a Cordale nylon blend, and so I thought if I went to a size 0 needle, they would just be really strong and sturdy. The other socks that I've hand knit for myself have been a little bit big, so I thought that I would do my best to make these fitted. I started toe up and I don't know, I did everything differently. So smaller needles, I started toe up, which is what I usually do, but I cast on 12 stitches on the toe, which I usually do 16. I did yarn overs, yarn over increases, and then you knit through the back loop on your second go around, which I like doing with a toe because it keeps me, I don't have to keep looking back to see did I increase in the last row, because you can see it if you have a yarn over, then you've increased on the last row. If you don't have a yarn over, then you just do another one. It's really easy. And then I did a fish lips kiss heel, which was the first time I had done this heel. So here is the fish lips kiss heel. I did the cardboard cutout of my foot, and it looked really small, but it worked out. Trust the pattern. She knows what she's doing. That is Fish Lips Kiss by the Sock Therapist, in case you haven't heard of it. I'd been hearing about it for years, finally tried it out. The Fish Lips Kiss heel doesn't have a really clear, all the instructions are really clear. If you've never knit a sock, that's a good pattern to go to for a heel. But it doesn't include directions for doing a contrast heel. So, but I like contrast heels. I just think they look really nice. So I did everything according to instructions, except on the very last row, you're supposed to do a right side and then continue knitting around. And instead of doing that, I used my contrast and I did a wrong side, so I added an extra wrong side and then came back, and that got me back to my main color, and then I continued knitting in my main color. That may or may not make sense. If you've done the pattern, maybe that made a tiny bit of sense. That's probably what I'm going to do next time. That seemed to work out well. And then I didn't have to cut my yarn because I hate weaving in ends. So, didn't have to cut my yarn. And I got a nice heel out of it. I will be doing this again. I liked this one. It fit really well. The periwinkle color that I used was, let's see, it's Soft Embrace by Elan. So Soft Embrace by Elan. I got this off of Amazon. It was in a pack of 10 colors. You get 10 balls of yarn. They are 50-gram balls. And I bought these several years ago. I can't remember exactly how long I've had these, but they are 100% superwash merino, Australian wool. And I've gotten a lot of projects. I can't think of the projects that I've knit these out of. I've knit out of this. I think I knit a shawl or a cowl or something, but that's where this periwinkle came from. doesn't have any nylon content in it, so we'll see how these heels and toes hold, or no, not the toes. We'll see how the heels hold up. Usually I knit socks with a little bit of nylon in them, but I really like the way the colors looked together, so I'll let you know how these hold up. I will be wearing these. They fit incredibly. Fish lips kiss heel. People are not joking when they say that it makes a sock that fits their heel, fits their foot really well. Who needs yoga when you can just podcast and twist yourself trying to show off your socks? Ta-da! Anyways, I love the colors of them. Love the way they fit. I did have a little bit of an issue with, I was magic looping. I was doing 2 at a time with magic loop, and there's a little bit of laddering on these, which, whatever. They're socks for me. It's fine. But there's that. There is a little bit of laddering. My next finished object is a finished sewing object. Now, I am not a sewist. I own a sewing machine and I've made curtains. I've also made, this summer, right before I left for fishing, I made, how many pairs? 12 pairs of boot socks, maybe, for everybody that I work with. That was a fun project, but I put together a little project bag. I followed a tutorial that I found on veryshannon.com. It is the Reversible Sock Knitting Project Bag. Had to look over there. Reversible Sock Knitting Project Bag by Very Shannon. She is a knitwear designer. She did the Veronica cardigan. And like I said, I know very little about sewing. But this tutorial was really complete, had a lot of pictures, and I was able to make something that resembled very closely to what she made. So that is a testament to the tutorial, that someone like me with the very limited sewing skills that I have could make this. So I'm super happy with it. There are things that I would do differently next time, and I think I will make more of these. I bought a lot of interfacing, and I have a little bit of fabric. I have some fabric scraps laying around here. So yeah, it's got a flat bottom. It is reversible. Recommend it if you own a sewing machine and you are in need of a project bag. Go check that out. It's a great tutorial. So this is my vanilla beanie, and I don't know if I have touched this project since the last time I talked about it on here, but I did want to mention I have been calling this yarn Tosh Merino Light, and I have been calling this colorway Scout, and that's not what this is. I was watching the Potter and Bloom podcast, and she was talking about her ball winder, and she had a big, beautiful, fluffy cake of yarn, and it was very pink, like a rosy, pretty pink. And she said, "This is Tosh Merino Light in Scout," and I went, wait a second, I've been calling that gray Scout. And then I realized that I saved my ball bands and I put them all together, and I've been meaning to organize them and like have some sort of system that tells me, like, you know, maybe like a scrap of yarn or something, or I write out what I use the project, or what I use the yarn, which project I use the yarn for, but I haven't been that organized, and so they're all just kind of in a pile. But I can't throw them away because so many times I've been like, oh, what was that yarn? And I realized that I've thrown away the ball band. So I have used Tosh Merino Light in the colorway Scout, but that's not what this is. I thought I lost that ball band, but apparently I lost this ball band, which which is also Madeline Tosh. I had that right. And I've used maybe 3 skeins of Madeline Tosh in my life, so I thought that that's what that was. It's not what that is. Scout is the pink color. This, I don't know what this is. This is Tosh Sport. And I bought this not that long ago, so one day I'll learn to put the ball bands inside of the skeins. Haven't gotten that yet, or organize my ball bands better. Anyways, I just wanted to say, in case you care, this is Tosh Sport, not Merino Light, and it is gray, which I lost the ball band. I don't know where it is. So I have one more whip. Well, I have one whip that I would actually like to talk to you about. That last one didn't really count as talking about a whip because I haven't touched it. Just ran up the stairs. Now I'm out of breath. So, last week I debuted my What's in My Queue segment, where I show you a skein of yarn by an indie dyer, and then with the intention of casting it on that week and knitting it. I showed you the biscuit yarns last week in the skein, and realized last night that I hadn't cast it on yet. So last night I did a tiny bit of work on these little toe-up socks. I used the hazel knits that I was knitting my Do You Want to Build a Snowman socks out of. So I used that green, which just so happened to match perfectly with the green in this biscuit yarn, self-striping. So this is their biscuit base in the colorway Night, and I have done one color repeat. I cast these on last night, and so it starts here with the black and does a, would you call this variegated? What's the difference between variegated and marled and tonal? It's marled when, I would call this variegated. These stripy bits here. And those are just going to go alternating green and gray with a black stripe in between. So somebody mentioned last week in the comments that these are very Slytherin-y colors, and I totally agree. These socks are for my boyfriend, and we both are Gryffindors, which was kind of surprising because we took the Pottermore quiz, of course, and I thought I was going to be a Ravenclaw, and we both thought he was going to be a Slytherin, but we both got Gryffindor, so the sorting hat has spoken. But I think green is one of his favorite colors, so that's what made me choose this yarn. And it's great. I did have an issue with winding it. I had it on my Swift and my ball winder, and I think it took me about an hour to wind it all up. For some reason it kept getting tangled. It is very, very, very soft. These two yarns, the Hazel Knits Artisan Sock is a lot sturdier and a little bit hardier, and this Biscuit Yarns Bis Sock is just incredibly soft. So we'll see how that holds up. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel with this one as well. I've got a cardboard cutout of his foot. I am knitting these on size zeros again, which I was not excited about knitting a men's sock on size zeros. But with the self-striping, it's a little bit more interesting. I will do a contrast heel with the Artisan Sock. to make it a little bit sturdier, but we'll see how these hold up. I am headed home on Tuesday. I'm going back to Alaska for the holidays, and I don't know if I'm going to be filming a podcast while I'm there. We'll see. I just don't know if I'm gonna have time, if it's gonna work out. But I thought it would be interesting to do a short video on the socks that I've knit. Nearly all of the socks that I've knit have been gifts for my parents, so they have a pretty good collection of socks that have been knit over the years. And I thought we could talk about how well they wear, what yarns I used, what size needles I used. I might remember some of those things. I think I have a pretty good idea of what I did when I started knitting socks. So yeah, I thought that might be cool in lieu of another podcast. We shall see. We shall see. So I wanted to do another What's in My queue, which is a little ridiculous because I just barely got to the last What's in My queue, but in case I don't film for another 3 weeks, I really wanted to show you this, and I'm going to cast this on. So this is Nano Stitch Lab, and the colorway is 13th Doctor. Nano Stitch Lab is local to me. I picked this up at the Yarn Festival that was right after Vogue Knitting Live, and I'm blanking on the name. It was over at the Seattle Center. Anyways, they have amazing colorways, but I saw this one, liked the color, and then saw that the name was the 13th Doctor, and I just couldn't resist. So the 13th Doctor is a Doctor Who reference, and 13 is making her debut in the Christmas episode that I don't know if I will get to watch, but I thought it would be fun to cast this on, and hopefully I won't just completely tangle this. There it is. There we are. So yeah, the Christmas special is coming up. I don't know if I'm going to get to watch it, but I thought it would be nice to cast this on. I haven't ever done a Christmas cast on, and I like the idea of doing a Christmas cast on, so hopefully I should be done with my, we'll call them my Slytherin socks. I should be done with my Slytherin socks by then, but, and maybe I'll watch some old episodes of Doctor Who. I usually watch them when they come on Amazon, and I haven't watched all of 12's season yet. I can't wait. I can't wait to show you what it looks like all knit up. I don't know what pattern I'm going to be using. I might do a pattern sock rather than just a vanilla sock, but we shall see. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. What else? There's a bell icon if you want notifications. And that's all the YouTubes. If this happens to be my last episode of 2017, I'd like to wish you a happy holidays. I hope you have a very knitty end of December, and I will see you in the new year. Here we go, 2018. Be well and happy knitting.